Olá e bem-vindo a mais um programa Entre Nós. O programa hoje que vai ser um pouco diferente. A gente vai gravar o programa em inglês porque a gente tem uma super visita aqui e merecia ser o nosso primeiro programa gravado aí numa língua estrangeira. We have here Philip Chiang, the founder of P.F. Chang's. He's visiting Brazil for the second time, and it's a pleasure to have you here in our show here. Thank you, Philip.
Thank you. It's great to be here. Very nice to be here.
Born in Shanghai,
Yes.
Raised in Tokyo,
Yes.
and then moved to San Francisco. Do you think that's the secret of the spicy of your corporate success and also of the dishes that you make at P.F. Chang's?
Well, certainly, I didn't spend very much time in Shanghai because we left when I was very, very young. But my upbringing in Tokyo, my life in Tokyo influenced me a lot. Even though I was there until I was 14, then California, but certainly living in Japan, in a very unique and distinct culture like that, influence everything I do, to this day.
You studied arts
Yes.
in the US, right? And then how did this change from arts? Actually, it's not a change because a chef is an artist, at least
It's
the
true.
way I see
It's true.
it, right?
Yeah.
But when did you start your world inside the cuisines and inside the restaurants and doing what you can do best?
Well, I get tired of being a starving artist, because, and I was told a long time ago that in order to be an artist or a writer, anything creative, usually, you have to have somebody or some kind of a career to actually support you to be an artist. Because it's truly not easy to be a successful artist and make enough money to have a decent life. So I just happened to have the opportunity to get into the restaurant business with my mother and make a little more money, have a steady paycheck, and that's how I got into the food business.
It's funny that you say that because I'm married with an actress,
Right.
and usually when she has to fill the registered forms or things like that, and then people say, what's your job? And then she said, I'm an actress. And then they say, oh, that's so cool, but what's your real job?
Yes.
So that's how you feel sometimes, that people don't recognize the importance of being an artist, right?
And as a matter of fact, to this day, you have to fill out legal papers, and they asked you, so what is your, what do you do? What's your work? And it's very hard. I mean, I can say I'm a chef or, consultant in the restaurant business, but truly I'm an artist, so I just write artists, so it gets confusing sometimes. People don't quite understand. It's like, oh, but you're in the restaurant business. Yeah, I do that to support my art, in a way, so. I'm really, my first love is in the arts.
But do you think that being an artist, that has a big influence in your work as a chef? Because when I see your dishes on the menu, you can see not only the mix of different cultures and tastes, but also the mix of colors and different shapes and things like that.
That's true.
Is it like just a coincidence, or it has an impact of your artist life?
Well, you don't think about it. In the beginning, I don't think about it. I don't think that way about, well, these ingredients are the right colors, or, obviously the flavors and things are important, but I never thought of the connection between my personal art, which is basically painting and drawing and photography, and food. To me, more it was of a business to me, a restaurant business. And the creativity came in the form of designing the restaurant, selecting the music, selecting the style. But I never really connected the food to my personal taste for art until really recently, when journalists like yourself started asking me about it. And then I had to, and then I realized, it is very much. There's a lot of overlap. So, and because I'm a visual person, I'm very visual. So, yes, my food has to be visual, but at the same time, it's not. I don't use ingredients in the food that don't belong there. I don't like things that are I don't like pretension, in my art, and I don't like pretentious food, which means, I like everything kind of natural.
This is an interesting point. We live in a world that one of the fashion words is UX, user experience.
Yes.
They say that for apps, they say that for everything.
Right.
And I see a lot of restaurants that focus a lot on the user experience when he's inside the restaurant.
Yes.
But sometimes they take it to the extreme where you only have like a great experience, but sometimes you don't have food on your dish,
Right.
And I see that when I visit P.F. Chang's, you have like a great experience, like a good music, good nice colors, like it's a fashionable environment.
Yes.
But also you have like good food. You can fuel yourself with the food that's there. Is that like something that it's a goal of P.F. Chang's? For people to get fed well on the restaurant, not only to have like beautiful and fancy things like that, And
it is, I think. I mean, unconsciously. I mean, it's not, we set out to do it this way because I don't get involved in the design so much or even, the culinary end so much like in the beginning, But the concept started out with the kind of food that I was doing in my own restaurants, that P.F. Chiang was, that, they liked that idea and that they liked the food I did. But yes, you start out with good food. You have to, I think, at least for me, the food has to be good. Doesn't matter what you do otherwise. If the food's not good, then for me, it's no use, So, and then if you could, let me put it this way. Food business, the restaurant business, okay, involves every sense of a human. It's the only business that has every sense involved. Smell, taste, sound, visual, and touch. What other business can you think of that has all those?
Yeah.
None. I mean, maybe, but the restaurant business involves all that. So, we try to be creative in all those areas. So food today isn't just to fill your belly up or, even if it's good. You want the entertainment value. There's a, it's more than just, filling up your, getting full on, on the food. So it's an experience now. It's, and there's a story behind it. It's a humans that are involved behind the food that we create at the restaurants, So those are all things that we try to incorporate into the restaurant experience.
We're talking about movies. There's a movie I saw a long time ago, a foreign movie called, I know in Portuguese the name, it's The Banquet of Babette.
Oh yeah, I know that movie.
And it's very interesting the way that through food, people can get along and talk and know each other and develop some kind of relationship that they never did before.
Right.
And that is done through a meal, right?
Babette's Feast,
Yeah, Babette's Feast, that's it.
Yeah.
So I think it's
very true.
Very true what you say.
It's, it brings people together, for sure. Food brings people together. Yeah. And, you could be arguing and then you have a good meal and it's like, okay. Salud, saudade, right? So it's very, very, food is powerful. Yes. Very powerful.
You started in a small restaurant,
being
the chef of a small restaurant, and then you moved to Mandarin, and then you act as a consultant in another restaurant, and now you have like a really, really worldwide chain of like almost 300 restaurants.
Yes.
Sometimes I see some people here in my program that, if they had put that on the spreadsheet on Excel would say, okay, I don't accept it, okay? Well, you won't be able to do that. And you were able to do that kind of success that spreadsheets would say you're wrong. What was the success of like being an artist, starting to cook some dishes with your mom, and then suddenly being the owner of such a successful restaurant chain?
Yeah, it's hard to explain, but I think, part of it is because from the very beginning, the first time the founder, the co-founder, Paul Fleming, approached me opening a restaurant, Chinese restaurant in Phoenix, where we started. I told him, I'll do the food. I can do the business part too, but I don't want to. I don't, I'll leave that to you. You do that well, you do that, So we sort of, delegated parts of the business to what we can do well. So I stuck with the food. He did the operations, daily operations, business operations. And so, my only concern was the food. So I think that is part of something that I learned, that stay with, what you can do well. Because then, I mean, it's certainly easier. I mean, the restaurant business is very complex, and it's very multi-layered, and the risk factor is very high. So for me, to meet somebody that handles the business side and does it really well is, it makes life so much easier. I think that is something that the co-founder, Paul Fleming, he did that, and he was okay with it. He says, I'll do the business end, you just take care of the food. So he delegated everything out too, and he was really good at it, And I wasn't somebody that had to control, micromanage, because I didn't want to. I didn't want to hire and fire and train and do, all that. Plus, I still have my own restaurant, so I kind of stuck with what I could do and what I could, focus on best. So I think that's part of the success, And then he was good at expanding and hiring other, like executives, and took care of that part of the business.
And when was the tipping point when you said, okay, we did it right, it's moving?
Well, there was never really a tipping point because, we did the first one, it was so busy. We never thought, still I just thought, one's busy, it's fine, it's great. And then 2, and then 3, and then all of a sudden, we're not just in California, we're in Texas, we're in Florida, we're in, and they start growing, and now globally. So I never felt like there was a tipping point so much as there was, it seemed like the growth was kind of a natural growth. Yeah, it was a kind of a natural growth. Just keep growing, and there was never really a tipping point. Well, maybe because we went from a private company to a public company. We went to the NASDAQ stock exchange, so maybe that was a little bit of a tipping point, but I wasn't concerned with that at all.
Did that make your life easier or harder when you have shareholders and
yeah,
requesting a lot of information and asking if you're doing the right thing or the wrong? Well, first you had Flemings, right?
Yeah.
So,
so he handled it again, and he hired the right people to handle all that. So he doesn't like that either, but he hired the right people, our CEO and everything, and to go public. So I didn't have to deal with that. So it was nice. Yeah, but of course, then the company really grew from that point. It just went fast, because now we have more money to spend, So
other partners' money.
Right,
yeah.
Boom, it just, you can do 20 restaurants in 1 year instead of just, 5. So that maybe was a tipping point. But personally, I never felt it because I stayed away from, like I said, that sort of business end of it. I stayed away from it. So yes, I knew they said, well, we went public, Philip, and wow, you're going to be, you're going to have all these shares and stuff, and it's going to be great. Yes, it was, but I've never been a person that, made that was important to. So.
That it makes me really happy to have like a foreign like you that has investments in Brazil, coming to Brazil to launch a new business in the middle of a crisis like the one we're living through. It makes us believe that some people still believe in the power of our country to overpass all these difficulties and start to grow again. How was your decision to invest to open like a new restaurants in Brazil right now in the middle of one of the worst crises we ever had in Brazil? And how has been your experience in Brazil so far?
Well, we have the orange president now in America, so no, I'm all joking aside, but yeah, I mean, Brazil was a natural growth. So we've expanded since 8 years ago. We went international, starting with Kuwait and Mexico almost at the same time. And so this was part of natural growth. We are in many countries in Latin America now. So Yeah, we try to stay away from the politics. Yeah, it does matter a little bit. But, you know, like I think we were just speaking earlier about how food brings people together, you know, and I don't think when you have good food on the table and people are enjoying themselves, I think it's a wonderful, like an hour and a half, 2 hours, you forget. Mm-hmm. You know, you forget. And it's nice to be able to give that to people, I think, you know. You know, I think we all go to restaurants that to enjoy the food and company and forget about, you know, what's going on outside, you know, and I think it's a good, you know, it's sort of an honor almost, you know, to be able to give that to people.
And the restaurants you have in Brazil, they're franchise or they're owned by the P.F. Chang's?
Well, we have a partner, Latin America. We have different partners in different areas, but yeah, Latin America. In Brazil, it is a company out of Mexico, Alsea. They run the restaurants for us. We have to have partnerships in the global expansion because we don't know the way of doing business in those areas, you know. So it's nice to have people that know, you know, how to go about doing business.
The menu is pretty similar to
almost
the other
exactly
menus?
the same.
Exactly the same?
Yeah, everywhere we go, exactly the same, except for the Middle East because of halal and, you know, they can't eat certain things. But other than that, it's the flavor, everything, the menu is almost exactly the same worldwide. You
sell the kind of food you like to eat or no?
You have to. You really have to. You cannot sell something you don't like. At least for me, food-wise.
It's your taste. This menu is...
Yeah, it's my taste.
Yeah,
you know, it's my style. You know, it's simple, clean, healthy. Yeah, if it was something there that I really didn't like, I couldn't, I'd be, you know, it doesn't feel right, you know? Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have to, I've always said that. You have to really sell what you understand, what you like.
Okay, and this new restaurant you're opening here, I think this week, or you just opened? We
opened Higienópolis is a few weeks.
A few months ago, yeah.
A few months ago, yeah. Very recent.
It's in shopping Higienópolis, right?
Yes.
And it's how big? Tell us a little bit about this new restaurant.
So this restaurant is the newest one. Is a little different. You know, domestically in the U.S. and also, you know, our global expansion. A lot of our restaurants involve more suburban mall type places, like in the States and even, you know, other areas of the world. And this one, we're doing a little more urban style, which means it's a smaller restaurant than our typical restaurants. It's smaller. The design is a little more urban. It's a little more casual. But the menu is still the same right now, you know, but we're trying to change the style a little bit to basically to sort of accommodate the new tastes, which is worldwide now. It's the millennials, you know, it's the internet. They see everything, they know everything, and also, you know, they want to eat more casual now. You know, the fancier type restaurants, you know, are more difficult to run. So, the latest restaurant, especially here in Higienópolis, is you know, we're going in that direction now. It's not fully the new blueprint, but it's in that direction.
Okay. Well, I'm pretty sure it will be a huge success, like everything else you do in life. And I mean, to have like an artist, a chef, a businessman like you in our show in the middle of a crisis like that, batting in Brazil, it's like such an honor, and it makes me as happy as I could be.
Thank you
for being in the show.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here.